Hey Internet, my name is Abby and welcome to Universe Sandbox. The space simulation goes on because today, after I've presented you in the recently the space engine, I will now demonstrate you a little bit Universe Sandbox. In contrast to Space Engine, Universe Sandbox isn't so much about realism or of creating the whole universe, and instead it's more about simulating physics and especially simulating gravity and orbits and how different celestial bodies are affecting other celestial bodies in their orbits and in their motion. And so I like to demonstrate a little bit of this to you. And let's start off with the Earth. At first, we have our Earth here in the middle. It's a planet, and to our Earth, I like to add a moon. And in this case, I like to add our moon. I really don't care right now about the correct distance from the moon to our Earth. I will just add a moon. And now we have the Earth, and we have a moon, and we have our moon. We can even visit the moon. And hi moon, how are you? Okay, this is a moon, and yeah, the moon is now orbiting around the Earth. Can we can see Lagrange points? This is pretty interesting because Lagrange points are stable points in gravity where you can place a satellite, and the satellite will all the time remain in this particular position. So we have the L1 point. The L1 point is between the moon and our Earth, and so it's all the time between the moon and the Earth, and it's all the time facing the same direction. Then we have the L3 point, which is directly on the opposite side of Earth and the moon, and we have the L2 point, which is on the other side of the moon. So there are several Lagrange points, and if you want to know a little bit more about them, I would recommend you to visit some Wikipedia entries also, because it's pretty interesting, and they are often used for satellites. And yeah, you can place. Wait, can we? This would be pretty interesting if we can do something like this. I'm not quite sure if this works out. Asteroids, objects. What do we have? Monolith, ring, dice, teapot, bowling ball, baseball, football, pool ball. Let's take a monolith, and I want to add bodies with no set. So, and if I know. Can I? Where is? I like to set it wait, I have still added the moon. Maybe I should select the Earth. Now let's try this again. Can I add something at a Lagrange point, or do I need to have it in an orbit? What happens if I put it down there? The monolith. It remains here. Okay, I'm not quite sure, or do I need to, let's use this time a teapot to add it with our orbit. Let's put it exactly on the Lagrange point. What happens now? Okay, screen options, impact marks, constellations, relation, projected path. Okay, here we have some path projected so we can see what will happen. And as you can see, the monolith I've added here without any velocity, which was suddenly there in our space, is now attracted by the Earth, and it's floating toward the Earth. And I think it will later on crash into the Earth. So let me just add this. Can we follow our monolith? I think we can. Too close. Okay, now the Earth is attracting the monolith with its gravity. And here, I think the monolith won't survive any longer and will just splash into and fall into the Earth. And we are inside the Earth. And the monolith is gone, I think. So yeah, the monolith is gone, but as you can see down here, our T-port is currently still in the same way as the Lagrange point. Well, it's a little bit apart from it currently, but in general it... Okay, I haven't completely added it to the Lagrange point. I'm not quite sure if I can add something to the Lagrange point, but as you can see, it's all the time at the same spot. So it's all the time on the rear side of the Earth and the opposite side of the Moon, which is really cool. So, so much about this. And yeah, Lagrange points are pretty cool. Let's, well, let's keep them active at first. Can we edit mode? No. We can see some comparison about the mass of the Moon and the Earth, and is there somewhere our monolith? Our T-port is down there, okay. Acceleration, original. Okay, this is nice, but this is not what I wanted to see. Phantom sun, shadows light, create collision lights, relation lines. Highlight marks? No. Hill spheres. Interesting. Constellations, advanced option, create dust. I want, whoa. Hi. I changed something, but I'm not sure what. I changed the accuracy mode, and it should be now much more accurate. I'm not quite sure what is going on, so maybe I should better disable the paths, protected path. Okay, now it's no longer freaking out, and at least the T-port is still almost in line with the Lagrange point. And yeah, okay, so much about this, but I wanted to demonstrate something else, because I've already talked a little bit about the what is this? No. I've talked already about the gravity, and that Universe Sandbox is simulating gravity and physical effects. So it's pretty interesting. If we have here our moon, and I will add to the moon some rings, like the Saturn ring, it's pretty interesting how the gravity of the Earth is affecting the rings and the particles of the ring. So currently you see a little bit how the particles start to shift over to the Earth and start to be attracted by the Earth. And here you can see how the gravity of the Earth is starting to pull off the ring of the moon. So this is really interesting, how these particle effects are attracted by the moon. This is by Earth, and this is pretty interesting. So let us increase a bit the time. And this is really looking quite beautiful. It's looking currently almost like an 8, as the Earth is starting to shift over, or is starting to attract all the ring particles of the moon. Okay, we should even speed it up, maybe 15 minutes. Now it's get really spinny, and more particles are getting attracted by our Earth and start to accumulating around the Earth instead around the moon. And we are getting our very own asteroid belt, maybe. I'm not sure how we can now call this, but this is pretty interesting. There you can simulate a little bit what happens if there are objects, and we can also let me see what will happen. I hope this will work out well. I now like to add an asteroid. Let's add... Wait, before I add, let me just scale down again to maybe the original time. Can I somehow remove the rings? I'm not sure. Okay. So let me just add Ceres. And now we have Ceres here, and I like to, we have here over here, what do we have here? Physical properties and some, no, I want to keep Ceres. Main properties, dynamic properties, main properties, okay, we can change a little bit the eccentricity of the orbit. This is pretty interesting. So if we are doing this, and we are having a very close flyby around the Earth, it can become very, very interesting to see what happens when it gets very close to the Earth. And it's especially interesting when we see Ceres. I'm looking for somewhere was the option to display edit mode, chart mode, color mode. Oh, here, acceleration. This is pretty interesting when we see, this is also interesting, when we see the motion. Let's disable the Lagrange points. When we see how much there's something accelerated, and you can see here the moon is a little bit accelerated by the Earth. Our teapot has a slower acceleration, and Ceres is currently pretty slow. Or the acceleration on Ceres is pretty low. Let's speed up things a bit. And we can see here, well, the circular orbits are all the time the same from the acceleration. And the teapot is a little bit slower than the moon, and here we can see how fast these particles around the Earth are accelerated. Let's use 1 hour. And the teapot is... Oh, will the teapot be influenced when the moon passes by? Yes, you can see the teapot has now changed its orbit as the moon was passing by. Now the teapot has also an eccentric orbit and is now all the time accelerated. You can see this. It's getting red when it's falling toward the Earth, and it's getting blue when it's slowing down. And here comes our Ceres. Let's slow down to 15 minutes. And it was also pretty interesting. I hope you have seen this with the moon, with our moon, as the moon had a flyby around our teapot, that the teapot was affected by the gravity of the moon. And now we are coming closer to the moon, and yes, you can see again there the moon has some effects to the teapot, and now the teapot has a completely different orbit. And now you can see here on the color of Ceres how it's getting more and more accelerated by the Earth, and now as it leaves the Earth again, it is decelerated. So this is pretty cool, and the teapot has now a completely different orbit after it passed by the moon's gravity. So this is really cool, and this is one thing that is really interesting by playing around with Universe Sandbox. Okay, but apart from my asteroid belt I've created now, Universe Sandbox has also some cool other things, like our solar system. They have created our solar system. So after I've presented you already the solar system in Space Engine and did a way through our solar system using Space Engine, we now can see the same thing again here, recreated in Universe Sandbox. You can see Mercury has a little bit of this eccentric orbit. Then we have Venus, Earth, Mars. Then we have the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, like we have in the real world. There we have some dwarf planets like Ceres and some asteroids and Vesta. And out there is Jupiter, and then there's a huge gap until we reach Saturn. And from Saturn, it's even a much larger step up to Uranus, and finally out to Neptune. And then we have, of course, the dwarf planet Pluto and some other asteroids. So it's pretty interesting, and you can see Eris, Saturn. And it's pretty interesting to see we have some particles and a lot of asteroids and other objects out there between farther away than Neptune. but we can have also this huge asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and this is pretty interesting, and this is pretty nice demonstrated by Universe Sandbox. Okay, then we have also Saturn and moons. Yeah, let's visit Saturn and its moons, Saturn's rings, and so many moons in universe. No, in Space Engine. Yes, Space Engine. We visited Titan. Let's have here a short visit at Titan. It's looking the same thing, clouded, yeah, as usual. And now we can also visit Io around collision with Jupiter. No, Jupiter and moons. We want to visit Io. Hi Io, the beautiful planet, not planet, the beautiful moon. We can now see the path of Io around Jupiter. This is also pretty interesting. Okay, but so much about these things. Also very interesting is galaxy collision. This is looking pretty interesting. Maybe I should just reduce a little bit more the background. Okay. So, and another thing, we have here up our Milky Way, and down there we have Andromeda, and both galaxies will be colliding, and it's pretty interesting to see what happens to them. Let's see realistic. Maybe we will see the acceleration. This is much more interesting. To see the acceleration, and you should pay attention to this up here. We have a time step of 50,000 years, and we are moving through millions of years. So you can see the time as the thing or the galaxy collision is taking place is pretty long time. So as we are going through the years here. And now you can see the outer parts previously were blue, now getting green and getting more and more accelerated. Same goes here for the other branches of the Andromeda galaxy. They get attracted by the massive inner parts of the galaxy. And you can see how the shapes of the galaxies before they started to collide, they were just a disk, and now the disk starts completely to deform, and these galaxies start to melt. So this is pretty interesting, and especially interesting if you see now the colors from the acceleration. The outer parts of the galaxy are pretty slow and aren't really accelerated, and now we have such a beautiful shape as these both galaxies are colliding. And now we have the huge collision in the middle, and from this on, now everything falls again a little bit apart and goes in other directions. So we have our Andromeda galaxy has still a center, and the Milky Way has still a center, but a lot of its stars and systems are falling apart because all these dots here are stars, and so there's a lot of things going on, and a lot of different galaxy gravities are infecting here. And you can see how these both disk-shaped galaxies now are completely falling apart, and we have two centers or centrums of mass where we have high acceleration, and we have also some deceleration going on for all the particles falling apart. And well, the Milky Way is still moving in the one direction, and Andromeda is moving in the different direction. So yeah, this happens. Okay, let's go back to a realistic view. Now, this is how these galaxies are looking, and here's our sun. Our sun is going somewhere else. Our sun is leaving. We were previously in the Milky Way, and now we are. I think we are a little bit in the Andromeda galaxy, but the trajectory said that we will leave this, and we are floating away to a different situation. So yeah, this is what will happen if galaxies are colliding. So we have some more Apophis passes near Earth, and constellation, Death Star orbiting Endor. Come on, open. Okay, Death Star and Endor. Haha, Death Star, okay. So we have here a little bit of Star Wars. This is cool. Okay, but I wanted to show you something different. They had created a lot of pretty interesting systems and examples. So, Halo at the L1 of threshold and bases. What? Forerunner gas mining facility. Halo bases. Threshold. Okay, this is pretty interesting. This is cool. But I wanted to show you something Lagrangian points. I've already talked about Lagrangian points. Mars and moons. Oh, we talked last about Mars and its flyby around, or not the flyby, but the the closest approach towards Mars and Earth, as I demonstrated this space engine. So let's have a short visit at Mars. Hi Mars, how are you? We have the pole capes. Yeah, so this is Mars, but Mars isn't as detailed as in Space Engine. So it's not so beautiful, but it's still very interesting. But and now I want to see our solar system centered on Earth. This is something I wanted to show you, because yes, it's this. The old idea that the Earth is the center of the universe, or not universe, but of the, well, yes, universe. And this simulation is demonstrating what is going on if this would be really the case. So maybe we should enable the paths, grid background, where was it? We had it, Lagrange projected paths, okay. So we can see what is going on. Jupiter is going crazy. Mars is going crazy. Ceres, okay, Ceres is not so important. Mercury is going crazy. Venus is going crazy. So Saturn really don't know what it should do, and everything is going a little bit crazy. And yeah, let's speed up a bit in time, 1 hour maybe. This is much better. Not so much of an effect. 1 day. Okay, 1 day is much better. So you see that the sun is somehow orbiting Earth, and Venus gets now attracted by the sun, or should get attracted by the gravity of the sun. Now it's floating towards, and Mercury is also feeling the effects of the sun. So it really doesn't work out so well what was thought about the Earth-centered model. And this is also pretty interesting. I really like this way how it works when we try this out. So this is also one really interesting thing. Okay, what else can we try out? Let's see. Our just planets, dwarf, moons, and named asteroids. Moons. Our solar system spacecraft. I think this could be interesting. Yes, it is. Well, it is 2008, so it's a little bit old compared to the current day. What do we have? We have Mercury and Messenger. We have... oh, there we have Rosetta. Rosetta is the space probe from the ESA, the European Space Agency, and this thing will visit a comet or it will arrive at a comet in August this year, and later on November, I guess, they will try to land on the comet with a small little lander. So yes, the Rosetta mission has also its place here in Universe Sandbox. And what else have we? Do we have something else pretty interesting, or pretty? We have our teapot, we have Dawn, Spitzer Space Telescope, is there somewhere? Oh, there's Juno. This is pretty interesting. And do we have somewhere also Voyager? Let me see. Do we have the Voyager probe somewhere? Pioneer 11. This is interesting. Oh, yeah. Out there is Voyager 11. What are you doing? Let's show the paths of it. Projected path. Okay. So yeah, this was not good. I think this is causing a hell of a lag, so let's switch off these paths. This was not good. So Voyager is leaving our solar system, or has already left the solar system, so goodbye to Voyager. This is pretty cool. And is there anything else? Our solar, Pluto and moons, pool balls wrecked, satellites orbiting Earth. Maybe we should visit this, Saturn and Earth. Okay, and then we can simulate some flybys of Voyagers and Pioneer missions and Cassini missions. Stars. The figure 8. Trans-Neptune objects, 12 colonies of Kobo, Venus transit, Virginis. Okay, then I like to finish up satellites orbiting Earth. Okay, so there we have. This is pretty interesting. Okay, we have only these few things. Whoa. We have Cosmos going on a polar orbit. Then we have Iridium also on a polar orbit. We have the Hubble Space Telescope orbiting. And we have also the ISS. Let's have a visit of the ISS. Let's use the ISS to... What is the ISS? The ISS is a cube. The ISS is a cube with some texture. Oh, and we are pretty fast. So yeah, this is looking like how the ISS is orbiting our Earth. And as we do orbiting around the Earth with the ISS, I think it's a good point to finally wrap up this video. So I hope you liked very much this episode or this demonstration of Universe Sandbox. I pretty much like this game. I got it once in a Steam summer sale, I guess, and yeah, I tested it out and I had a lot of fun playing with it because with all the options of playing around with different gravities, and as I demonstrated the thing with the rings around the moon and how the Earth is affecting the rings of the moon, it's pretty interesting. So you can play around, you can place some asteroids around it, you can... Or with my demonstration, as I placed this one asteroid around Earth in an eccentric orbit, and it had a flyby around the moon, and the moon affected it with its gravity and changed completely the flight path. So it's pretty interesting to play around what happens to trajectories when they are passing by a huge object, and how the trajectory is affected by it. So this is really cool. And yeah, so I think this wraps up everything for Universe Sandbox. I hope you liked this video. If you do so, please like my video on YouTube and do the other usual YouTube stuff like commenting and subscribing. And I hope I see you again in maybe a different Let's Play series of mine. So yes, thank you again for watching. I hope I see you again. Yeah, until then, my name is Abby. See you!